Hey, this video is going to be over chapters 11, 12, and 13. Chapter 11 is over comparing. Basically, comparing is talking about similarities and differences between objects. Similarities and differences. Also, quantities. How many are different or how many are similar. It also talks about measurement in this chapter. Now, there's lots of different ways to measure. We just don't measure using tape measures and things like that. We also measure with informal measurements like the activities in class the other night where we would give the children a piece of string and you find all the objects that are this long. Those are what we use in our classroom informal modes, or using our hand to see how wide the book is or the table is, things like that. Now, they also talks about different words in this chapter. Big, little, small, large, heavy, light. There's a list of those words that are used in here. Now, I also want you to make sure that you're not just studying the things I'm talking about here, but also think about how these are used, because a lot of the questions are going to be situational type questions that are on the quiz. It's going to be give an example of a child playing with something. What is this an example of? So not just knowing what a definition of something is or knowing about what it's talking about, but actually being able to apply that to a situation is what you're going to need to be able to do. That's chapter 11. Now in chapter 12, this is talking about geometry. Basically geometry, all it is talking about shapes. We have flat shapes and we have three-dimensional shapes. This is a rectangle right here. It's a flat sheet of paper. This is a rectangle. Now this right here is I just stole this out of my husband's kit for Bible school. This is a rectangular prism. Okay, the difference between this is it has substance. There's something, we can touch it, we can feel it. It's not flat compared to this sheet of paper, which is flat. And talking to the children about the differences between the two objects. Okay, now something else you may find is a cylinder. This is something we drink out of. Also, we have a straw. A straw is a cylinder. You can look through it, you can look in it. Now, a circle would be flat. Okay, that's the difference. You have anything that's flat are shapes. Anything that has substance or you can put stuff in it, that is going to be three-dimensional. Okay, being able to identify shapes, knowing the difference between shapes. Some children do it earlier, some children do it later, depending on their developmental level. And also learning how to put shapes together. There's some activities we're going to be doing in class on Tuesday night that's going to be talking about shapes. And so, or Feely boxes are really good. Having different shapes, not shapes, but actual three-dimensional shapes, cubes, balls, things like that, down in a Feely box, the children feel it and they see if they can tell you what the shape is, then pull the object out and show you what it is. That's a really great activity for your younger threes. They're just learning about shapes and three-dimensional shapes. Also cutting up pieces of paper that are flat shapes and letting them create objects out of those. A lot of times we use tangrams for this activity. Tangrams are wonderful to use for creating shapes. And in your chapter it shows on this page where they have made a shaped person and then they're making other shapes and putting things together. And letting the children give them shapes in the classroom, like gives them triangles, squares, circles, and let them go see if they can find that shape somewhere in the classroom. It could be a shape hunt. Those are really good ways of bringing shapes into, for them to learn about this. And then let them have a cylinder or a prism, which is triangular prism, a rectangular prism, and see if they can find other cylinders or prisms in their classroom. This helps them put that hands-on activity. I'm able to look at this object. Are there other objects like this in the room that may be bigger or smaller, but similar in size and shape? This works really well if you let kids do this in teams of 2, because especially grouping children up that may be a little further ahead in their development with the children they're a little bit that haven't quite gotten there yet in their development, and they can help each other, and that way they both are able to feel good about what they have found in the classroom environment. In chapter 13 is talking about spatial sense. Remember the other night when I had the hula hoop out? We did the hula hoop activity. And I've done this in the past where I put the hula hoop over me and say, this is my personal space. You can't get in my space unless you're in here with me. Putting it on the hula hoop on the ground, we do an activity where we hop in and out. You know, we say 2 in a hole or 3 in the hole. Do activities like that in the classroom. That's spatial sense. Also spatial sense is the words in, out. Like, I put the straw in the cup, I take the straw out of the cup. The straw can be beside the cup, it can be in front of the cup, it can be behind the cup, it can be under the cup. This is all spatial awareness, understanding of the space that is around us at all times. And you can do this in all the different learning centers in your classroom. Songs and music are really, really good for this. There's a lot of music out there that you can play. Also, Simon Says is good for this, but because a lot of kids don't know who Simon is, but you can say Mindy says this or Mindy says that. You know, step forward, step backward, step to the side. Those are all spatial awareness words. And using your three-dimensional objects, put the cup on top of the box. Put it to the side of the box. Put the box on top of the cup. Okay? All of those are words that we use around children all the time. We just don't think about it. Also, distance. How far am I going to go? Walk over there across the room. Come back to me. A lot of times kids say, watch me run, watch me run. I'm going to run to the fence. That's a direction. Okay? Some classrooms will have north, south, east, and west. I think it's okay to have those compass words in your classroom, but a lot of times those are a little bit harder concepts. They're more, they're not concrete concepts for the children. They're, they're not concrete, they're abstract concepts, and it's harder for the kids to understand that. But you can start putting those up around your classroom, you know, to talk about those if you would like to, but it's not something that I would really focus on a lot, on talking about directions. Now, a big thing on directions is, can you follow directions? Can you take this box and put it over on the shelf in the art center? Seeing what the children can do. That's following directions, and they're going and doing directions. That is the lecture over chapters 11 through 13.